Welcome students, myself Dr. Papri, BRSNC Zoology. Today my topic of discussion is pollution, that is environmental pollution. Now what is pollution? In simple terms, any undesirable change that occurs in the environment, we call it pollution or environmental pollution. Now pollution may be like water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, soil pollution, ionic radiations and so on. But today we shall focus our study mainly on water pollution, air pollution and noise pollution because these three parts are included in your CBCS syllabus general portion Sem-IV. So let's start. Pollution is the introduction of contaminants into the natural environment that causes adverse change. Pollution can take the form of any substance, be it solid, liquid or gas, or energy such as radioactivity, heat, light or sound. Pollutants, the components of pollution, can be either foreign substances, energies, or naturally occurring contaminants. Although environmental pollution can be caused by natural events, the word pollution generally implies that the contaminants have an anthropogenic source, that is, a source created by human activities. Pollution is often classified as point source, that is, which is direct, or non-point source, that is, it may be indirect source. The major forms of pollution include air pollution, light pollution, litter, noise pollution, plastic pollution, soil contamination, radioactive contamination, thermal pollution, visual pollution and water pollution. Now you see this chart. Here are the various forms of pollution that is visible here. We shall go into details the various topics which is mentioned in the screen. Now forms of pollution. The major forms of pollution are listed below along with the particular contaminants relevant to each of them. Air pollution. Forms of pollution. The major forms of pollution are listed below along with the particular contaminants relevant to each of them. Air pollution. The release of chemicals and particulates into the atmosphere. Common gaseous pollutants include carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons and nitrogen oxides produced by industry and motor vehicles. Photochemical ozone and smog, that is a mixture of smoke and fog, are created as nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbons that react to sunlight. Particulate matter or fine dust is characterized by their micrometer size. Next is electromagnetic pollution. Electromagnetic pollution is the overabundance of electromagnetic radiation in their non-ionizing form like radio waves, etc., that people constantly exposed at, especially in large cities. It is still unknown whether or not those types of radiation have any effect on human health though. Light pollution. Light pollution includes trespass, over-illumination, and astronomical interference. Littering. The criminal throwing of inappropriate man-made objects unremoved onto public and private properties. Noise pollution, which encompasses roadway noise, aircraft noise, industrial noise, as well as high intensity sonar. Next is plastic pollution. Plastic pollution involves the accumulation of plastic products and microplastics in the environment that adversely affects wildlife habitat, or humans. Soil contamination occurs when chemicals are released by spill or underground leakage. Among the most significant soil contaminants are hydrocarbons, heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, and chlorinated hydrocarbons. Next is radioactive contamination. Radioactive contamination resulting from 20th century activities in atomic physics such as nuclear power generation, nuclear weapon research, manufacture and deployment. Thermal pollution is a temperature change in natural water bodies caused by human influence, such as use of water as coolant in power plant. Visual pollution, which can refer to the presence of overhead power lines, motorway billboards, scarred landforms, open storage of trash, municipal solid waste, or space debris. Water pollution by the discharge of industrial wastewater from commercial and industrial waste into surface waters, discharges of untreated sewage, and chemical contaminants such as chlorine from treated sewage release of waste, and contaminants into surface runoff flowing to surface waters, including urban runoff and agricultural runoff, which may contain chemical fertilizers and pesticides, also including human feces from open defecation. Still a major problem in many developing countries. Groundwater pollution from waste disposal and leaching into the ground, including from pit latrines and septic tanks, eutrophication and littering. Now, what is pollutant? The substances that cause pollution, we call it as pollutant. The factors that determine the severity of pollutant, its chemical nature, the concentration, the area affected, and the persistence. What are the sources and causes of pollution? We shall go into detail. Air pollution comes from both natural and human-made sources, which is also called anthropogenic source. However, globally, human-made pollutants from combustion, construction, mining, agriculture, and warfare are increasingly significant in the air pollution equation. Motor vehicle emissions are one of the leading causes of air pollution. China, United States, Russia, India, Mexico, and Japan are the world leaders in air pollution emissions. Principal stationary pollution sources include chemical plants, coal-fired power plants, oil refineries, petrochemical plants, nuclear waste disposal activity, large livestock farms, etc. PVC factories, metal production factories, plastic factories, and other heavy industries are also responsible for this. Agricultural air pollution comes from contemporary practices which include clear felling and burning of natural vegetation as well as spraying of pesticides and herbicides. Now, about 400 million metric tons of hazardous waste are generated each year. The United States alone produces about 250 million metric tons of such waste. Some of the more common soil contaminants are chlorinated hydrocarbons, heavy metals like chromium, cadmium, found in rechargeable batteries, and lead, found in lead paint, aviation fuel, and still in some countries gasoline. Arsenic, benzene, zinc, all these are some of the common soil contaminants. In 2001, a series of press reports culminating in a book called Fateful Harvest unveiled a widespread practice of recycling industrial byproducts into fertilizers, resulting in the contamination of the soil with various metals. Pollution can also be the consequence of a natural disaster. For example, hurricanes often involve water contamination from sewage or sewerage, whatever you call, and petrochemical spills from ruptured boats or automobiles. Large-scale and environmental damage is not uncommon when coastal oil rigs or oil refineries are involved. Some sources of pollution, such as nuclear power plants or oil tankers, can produce widespread and potentially hazardous release when accidents occur. Now, next we shall go to greenhouse gases emission. Now, what are greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere due to the burning of fossil fuels, due to industrialization, urbanization, which are also man-made. These gases, mainly chlorofluorocarbon, methane, ozone, and carbon dioxide, these, when released into the atmosphere, causes a rise in the temperature of the Earth's crust, forming a layer in the stratosphere layer, forming ozone holes, thus causing the thinning of ozone layer. As a result of this, what happens? Ozone holes are created through which ultraviolet rays directly penetrate into the Earth's surface, further increasing the temperature of the Earth, causing deleterious effects and a harmful effect to the total living biota. These greenhouse gases cause greenhouse effect as a whole, thus entrapping the heat, further resulting in the warming of the temperature, the warming up of Earth's atmosphere, which results in the melting of ice caps in the polar zones and further rise in water level. So, in February 2007, a report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, representing the work of 2,500 scientists, economists, and policymakers from more than 120 countries, confirmed that humans have been the primary cause of global warming since 1950. Humans have ways to cut greenhouse gas emission and avoid the consequence of global warming. a major climate report concluded. Now, let us focus our study on noise pollution. Noise pollution is the unwanted sound dumped into the atmosphere. Sound intensity is measured in decibel. The overall effects of intense noise are: it interferes with the communicating system, it affects the equilibrium system of the body, it disturbs sleep, it produces anxiety, stress reactions, and fright. It causes muscles to contract, leading to nervous breakdown, tension, and even insanity. It causes damage to heart, brain, kidneys, and liver. Overall, it causes deafness. Permanent loss of hearing may occur at 100 decibel due to continuous noise exposure. Noise not only affects the biological system but also affects adversely non-living things. Following are the measures taken for an effective control of noise pollution. That is, first point, using ear protective aids in the form of earplugs, improving working methods, that is, minimum possible noise should be between 40 to 60 decibels. Providing certain enclosures, mainly lead enclosures, can be used to reduce sound pollution. Forming silent zones, especially near hospitals and schools. Planting non-sound absorbing trees like neem, tamarind, then ashoka and all, which reduces the noise to about 6 to 10 decibels. Further, proper designing of doors and windows should be done in room. For example, glazed windows with double and triple panes provide excellent sound insulation. Possible effort should be made to deflect the noise away from the receiver. As example, in jet, noise gets exhausted upwards instead of downwards. Lastly but not the least, awareness should be created and legal restrictions imposed to control noise pollution at various places. Now, we shall focus on the effects of pollution. Human health. Adverse air quality can kill many organisms, including humans. Ozone pollution can cause respiratory disease, cardiovascular disease, throat inflammation, chest pain, and congestion. Water pollution causes approximately 14,000 deaths per day, mostly due to contamination of drinking water by untreated sewage in developing countries. An estimated 500 million Indians have no access to proper toilets. Over 10 million people in India fell ill with waterborne illness, and 1,535 people almost died, most of them children. Nearly 500 million Chinese lack access to safe drinking water. Thus, high smog level in China has been facing for a long time, can do damage to civilian bodies and cause different diseases. The WHO estimated in 2007 that air pollution causes 500,000 deaths per year in India. Studies have estimated that the number of people killed annually in the United States should be over 50,000. Oil spills can cause skin irritations and rashes. Noise pollution induces hearing loss, high blood pressure, stress, and sleep disturbance. Mercury has been linked to developmental deficits in children and neurological symptoms. Older people are majorly exposed to diseases induced by air pollution. Those with heart or lung disorders are at additional risk. Children and infants are also at serious risk. Lead and other heavy metals have been shown to cause neurological problems. Chemical and radioactive substances can cause cancer and as well as birth defects. An October 2017 study by the Lancet Commission on Pollution and Health found that global pollution, specifically toxic air, water, soils, and workplaces, kills 9 million people annually, which is triple the number of deaths caused by AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria combined, and 15 times higher than deaths caused by wars and other forms of human violence. The study concluded that pollution is one of the greatest existential challenges of the Anthropocene era. Pollution endangers the stability of Earth's support system and threatens the continuing survival of human societies. Environment. Environment. Pollution has been found to be present widely in the environment. There are a number of effects of this. Here, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch has been shown. So, biomagnification describes situations where toxins such as heavy metals may pass through tropic levels, becoming exponentially more concentrated in the process. Carbon dioxide emission causes ocean acidification, the ongoing decrease in the pH of the Earth's oceans as carbon dioxide becomes dissolved. The emission of greenhouse gases leads to global warming, which affects ecosystem in many ways. Invasive species can outcompete native species and reduce the biodiversity. Invasive plants can contribute to debris and biomolecules that can alter soil and chemical compositions of an environment, often reducing native species competitiveness. Nitrogen oxides are removed from the air by rain and fertilized land, which can change the species composition of ecosystem. Smog and haze can reduce the amount of sunlight received by plants to carry out photosynthesis and leads to the production of tropospheric ozone, which damages plants. Soil can become infertile and unsuitable for plants. This will affect other organisms in the food web. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides can cause acid rain, which lowers the pH value of soil. Organic pollution of water courses can deplete oxygen levels and reduce species diversity. Now here this is a chart showing global carbon dioxide emissions by jurisdiction, in which China seems to emit maximum carbon dioxide, followed by US and others. 2022 study published in Environmental Science and Technology found that levels of anthropogenic chemical pollution have exceeded planetary boundaries and now threaten entire ecosystem around the world. Now, environmental health information. The Toxicology and Environmental Health Information Program at the United States National Library of Medicine, NLM, maintains a comprehensive toxicology and environmental health website that induces access to resources produced by TEHIP, that is the Toxicology and Environmental Health Information Program, and by other government agencies and organizations. This website includes links to database, bibliographies, tutorials, and other scientific and consumer-oriented resources. TEHIP also is responsible for the Toxicology Data Network, an integrated system of toxicology and environmental health database that are available free of charge on the web. Now we come to the concluding part of today's chapter, that is pollution. That is pollution control. Pollution control is a term used in environmental management. It means the control of emission and effluents into air, water, or soil. Without pollution control, the waste products from overconsumption, heating, agriculture, mining, manufacturing, transportation, and other human activities, whether they accumulate or disperse, will degrade the environment, thus causing a deleterious effect, as I have mentioned earlier. In the hierarchy of controls, the pollution prevention and waste minimization are more desirable than pollution control. In the field of land development, low impact development is a similar technique for the prevention of urban runoff. Here you can see this one is a picture of litter trap catches floating waste in the Yarra River, Australia. Now, what are the practices taken to reduce environmental pollution? First one is recycling. That is recycling of the wastes and then further reusing it for proper usage. Next is waste minimization, mitigating, pollution prevention, and compost. Now, here air pollution control system, here it is shown, that is a thermal oxidizer has been shown, which decomposes hazard gases from industrial airstreams in USA. Now let's discuss few pollution control devices. Here you can see a dust collector. It is shown, dust collector equipment. So pollution control devices are air pollution control thermal oxidizers, dust collection systems, bag houses, cyclones, electrostatic precipitators, scrubbers. Scrubbers may be baffle spray scrubbers, cyclonic spray scrubbers, ejector venturi scrubber, mechanically aided scrubber, spray tower, wet scrubber, and various type of sewage treatments done. Sewage treatments include primary treatment like sedimentation or secondary treatments that are used for industrial wastewater. like activated sludge biotreaters, then aerated lagoons and constructed wetlands that are used for urban runoff. Industrial wastewater treatments include API oil water separators, biofilters, dissolved air flotation, that is DAF, powdered activated carbon treatment, ultrafiltration, vapor recovery systems, and phytoremediation. Here you can see gas nozzle with vapor recovery. This is one equipment used. Here, mobile pollution check vehicle installed in India to check or control pollution. These are the thermal oxidizers which are used to purify industrial air flows. So, with this, we come to the end of today's session on pollution. Hope this slide and today's presentation will help you